Maybe it was just the way, this is an add-on to the last one, maybe it was just the way they were showing me. It did show it like, I suppose like a game, like we're all put into the game. And I just don't like how people say it because it sounds so conspiracy theory and people can get really freaked out. But it is like the game of like you get in there and the government controls it and you're assigned parents and then they're like your handlers. And it's all basically saying it's all run by ego. And you have to work your way out of that ego matrix and see everybody for who they really are for you to exit. And you have decoys and you have people who try to be you. They try to copy you. They try to act like you. They try to sound like you. They want to be you because it's almost like they know you're the only real one. You're the only authentic one. It's like they recognize they're all the robots and they try to train all the robots to be exactly like you. Remember they did that for the longest time. It's like, will the real Eminem stand up, right? Remember it's that like mentality where it's almost like they spot the real one before you do. That's why it's like you have to be careful with all this because people can take it for real, and it is for real, but not to the logistics I'm suggesting. And it's like people really do think people are out to get them, which yes and no. In other words, a lot of this is on the subconscious level where there's a lot of people who don't realize they're basically idolizing you because they're envious and jealous of you and want to be you. And if they could crawl into your skin, they would. Like, it's sick shit. But that's all their, like, sicko wackadoodle mind that hasn't been cleared up. And they don't see it's like the psychopaths they really are. But that's also because of the amount of inherent damage and their own living damage, right? Like it's just passed down, but then they also experience it, so it embeds it deeper and further because they believe it, because it's passed down, right? Do you see how this like ring around the rosy? And so this is why it can be such a challenge to do that work and see it. And so when they recognize somebody actually has and they're real, again, it's not like saying it like that. You'd think people are like, oh God, they are real, I'm going to get them. No, it's something that is occurring and they don't even recognize because they're not awake enough to see or acknowledge their feelings. They're not awake enough to realize, oh my God, I really am envious, jealous of them. Why? Right? Like they're not doing their own cleanup work. And so like from a game standpoint, people could be like, oh my God, they're setting up decoys, right? Because then everybody starts to try to sound like you, look like you, act like you. But they don't realize in doing so, it's just cementing in the fact even further that they're a robot. Now trying to train to be another robot, right? Like they don't know why or what it is that they want. And it's like they want to be real and authentic. Well, so to be real and authentic, you have to strip away all the identities. And you can't identify as somebody else, right? You have to be your authentic self, and they just don't know who they are. And so they can train really well to sound like somebody else. They really can. This is why it can be eerie and scary, and it's like single white female. It's very, that's the movie, right? And Bodyguard, they're showing Bodyguard, right? Like it was this sister who seems so sweet and docile and innocent, and you would think it would have been Whitney who was big-headed or egotistical, and it was like, no, not at all. She just shined and she was the star, and it was the evil sister who so wanted to be her. Yeah. But like even that thought in itself is so creepy and scary and sad and disturbing. But we're living amongst people who are very disturbed and don't recognize it. But that's dangerous. Which again, it's like, it can be really dangerous. And this is why this is the idea of like crabs in a barrel. This is why you have to get away from them. which also when you see it through the lens I'm saying, it's this way I'm hesitant to share everything they're showing me right now. It can add that fear or fright or worry back into you, and that will do you no good. And at the same time, it is important to be aware of these dynamics, because if you're operating from a bleeding heart, right, a wounded warrior, this idea, then you can feel bad for those who are actually trying to harm you, steal from you, take from you, be you, rip away your essence, and they can mess with your mental mind where your essence does get muddled. Do you see what I'm saying? And so it's like, don't focus on it. It's the idea of having discernment and wisdom, and it takes a real long time, especially if that's all you've been around. And so, what is it? It's like that idea of, it's like you really can't focus on it because you really don't, there's nothing to fear, right? Like nobody can actually touch your actual soul. They can strip away and hurt you and harm your mental to such a degree where they can essentially be the robot that steps in and fools everybody else. But it's not fooling unconditional love, like the highest vibration, in the sense that, so what, they get one lifetime like this? They won't even likely get the full lifetime. It's like they're the idea of like, they'll slip in and quote, take it, but then they'll end up with a deadly disease, or they'll end up getting cancer, or they'll end up getting hit by a bus, or it's like they might think they win until they get knocked right over, right? It's like, because the highest vibration of all sees it all, and they might have been able to step in their shoes or walk a mile in their shoes, or like get the benefits of stealing from them, but it's such a limited, short-sighted thing, right? It's like your soul is your soul is your soul is your soul. And so the reason I'm explaining it and describing it that way is because people then will also gaslight themselves and be like, but I really was knocked off my path. Yes, but that was also the lesson for you, that you weren't loving and honoring yourself. You weren't standing up for yourself. Even when you have to be sometimes a bitch, or you have to be vicious. If you're around a bunch of hyenas, say you're a lion sitting in the middle of a field and there's no other lion or lionesses anywhere near you. You were out and about, and you weren't with any of your brothers, right? And a bunch of hyenas see you. They can tear you to shreds. Hyenas. Worthless little shits that you with even one other brother could handle. But when you're solo, they can strip you and eat you alive, even though you're the lion. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, you need to be aware. You need to be aware. You don't want to focus on it. You don't want to be a lion who's like, the cowardly lion, or like always searching out for hyenas, because if you keep searching for them, you'll find them. But you also, as you're going about, you don't want to get so cocky or confident that you take a nap in the middle of the field and wake to the hyenas laughing and cackling and ready to pounce. I think it's Lion King they're showing me. So I'm just trying to think of the cartoon and imagery and yeah. Oh boy. So they're showing too much too quick right now. So let's just go back to that. Yeah. It's just the idea of, I do think it's important that people are aware of the bad, the ugly, the dark. Not to focus on it, not to anything other than, it's like gain that experience, that wisdom, that discernment that comes usually from being harmed over and over and over again. But how many harms is it going to take for you to wise up? Some of us a really fucking long time, because you are that wounded warrior. Your heart has been bleeding, and so it scabs over, and they pick that scab before it fully heals, and so they keep you the bleeding heart, so you continue to be the fool, and it's like you can never heal to wise up, right? You never heal to gain the wisdom. And that's part of the design as well. That's one more lesson, right? That you have to learn. You're going to have to it is almost like hard or harsh where you cut off those that you're not sure to cut off or not so that you can heal enough to be able to see clearly. But they don't want you to ever fully heal because they don't want you to be able to see clearly. And again, saying it that way would imply that people are consciously aware of what they're doing. I do not believe that a lot of them are. And this is why you've heard me say many a times, no, people are good. Where if you hear the story, you're like, well, they sound vicious. They are vicious, but they're not aware of how vicious they really are. They haven't seen themselves. They don't know themselves. They have not looked in the mirror. They have not conquered their shadow. They do not recognize they are the devil, the monster, running from their ego. They do not see that about themselves, so they are not aware. They're not consciously behaving that way. The majority of people. That's why it's also like when you see them and you rip off their mask and force them to see the mirrors, some of them can shock themselves into death, or they could harm the fuck out of you. This is what people say, don't do that. Don't do that. You're asking for trouble when you do that. Yeah, you got to be careful. So I guess that's the idea of being careful, where it's like, they're nothing to fear. Because again, if you can just see it from the highest vantage point, it's just, they're savages, they're hyenas. And even if they're able to destroy your physical body, meaning worst case scenario, what, they take you out? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Again, if you're playing in the immediate, you could be like, but they took my soul's path, or they took whatever. No, they can't actually do that. So this lifetime, but again, if you understand how things work, it's no matter. It's no matter. There is no such thing as time. That's a human confound. So and again, I know it's hard. It's easy for me to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Believe me, I've been through it enough myself. You have to learn those lessons though, and love yourself and recognize what matters to you. And you have to learn to stand up for yourself, and you have to learn when not to bother fighting because your peace is too important. All these little fine-tuned things that we only really discover when we ourselves experience them. Oh, that was the other thing they were showing. I don't know, maybe I should put it in a whole other post. How long is this thing? 12 minutes? I can maybe. You know how you've heard me say many times, be careful what you wish for and be careful about judging others. I grew up with people who really just judgy-wudgy. And how can I say this? It's important to decide if something is right or wrong for you, but it should not be judging the other person per se, right? So you have an experience and people hear about it and they automatically start going, oh, what a horrible person. I can't believe they did that. Or I can't be blah, 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 blah. You really have no idea what that person's been through or why they had to do that. And especially if you're not in their life, but even if you are, it's like, don't worry about it, right? Like you can just be like, oh, I'm grateful that I'm focusing on what I do love and what I want for my life. You don't have to deem the person good or bad. And if you understand the way I've explained it, a lot of times it really isn't that person. It's just they have been hurt so many times. They're just completely open and exposed to all those lower energies filling them. And then they're acting out in ways that it is sad. And so nonetheless, let's just say you don't do that. So let's say something happens to somebody. It's something that you then deem that person as horrible. You can't believe that's how they would respond or they would react or they would behave to said experience. But you don't know all the experiences. You just know that immediate experience. And you judge them and you judge them harshly. You might not verbalize it out loud. You don't need to. Well, very soon, that person who judged you so harshly based on your response to scenarios led you to those decisions, and it was the best decision of the bunch. They then get put in that same scenario. And it might not be the identical one, but I mean, it's the same, essentially the same feeling or experience that you go through, they will go through the almost identical one, and then have an almost, meaning it is the identical feeling that they'll experience, but it might not be the visible 3D actual experience. But it will be the same scenario for them as far as feeling what you felt, and then what you had to decide and what you had to choose. And they're going to have a very almost parallel experience, because then they are likely going to make the same decision as you and then be reminded of you and feel like a smacked ass that they judged you, because now they can see through your eyes. Now they've experienced what you did. And now the shame and blame and guilt of judging you the way they did when they didn't know any better, but now they do. And now they get to choose how they behave moving forward based on that information. Did they learn? Or do they still go around judging everyone? And soon enough, that will all eventually catch up with them, right? Like, that's the idea of eating your karma, because then they're going to start experiencing all these things. And as they experience all these things, they'll be reminded of all those people that they judged, right? Who the hell do they think they are judging them, right? And I'm talking about regular, everyday people like you and me. I'm not talking about actual judges. And so they were showing this a lot. And they were showing people that I had known had judged me harshly, because they have their rule book of right and wrong, and I was not following their rule book. And so it was that evil eye, ill intent of putting out ill will, and likely gossiping or sharing their opinion and so forth and so on. And then when you see them going through, sometimes that's what they mean by you'll see their karma. Sometimes you will see them go through literally the same experience that you know they deemed and judged you very harshly for. And then it's almost like, it like confirms that, oh yeah, they did judge me on that. That is why they are now experiencing the exact same thing. But you now have compassion for them. It's not like you're like, I told you so, or it doesn't even bring you pleasure, really. Honestly, it doesn't even necessarily bring you any, thank God though, right? Because then that means you would be back in said scenario soon enough. But how can I say this? It allows more than compassion. It allows you to see the human in you and in the human in them. Right? It allows you to see that beauty of that flaw, of that humanness. That's what allows you to have that compassion. And it's almost like you are forever the leader for them. Because in having that response, if they see that compassion in you and that understanding, when they finally reach their judgment day, essentially, and they go through that same experience and they then recognize it, and then they see that you react out of compassion and humanness and still have love in your heart, that's a beautiful thing, because then hopefully they will feel that, see that, understand that, to soften their heart even more, even further. So that's what I mean by essentially you end up being their leader forever and ever, because you're forever leading the way for them. Like, okay, now you judge, now you experience that you shouldn't have done that. So then they learn that lesson. Then they see that you're still a good person and have compassion and have a heart. And then they have to learn, okay, that's how they need to be. And they have to understand that. And then they have to be able to see moving forward, right? It's that idea. It's like the idea of leading a horse to water, and hopefully they do drink, right? Hopefully they can have compassion for themselves. They can open up their own heart to feel and forgive themselves. Right? Especially when they see that it's like you didn't even need to forgive them. You never held anything against them to not forgive them, right? Like there was never any, it was all their side. It was their side judging. It was their side, whatever. But you recognize what occurred when you see what they then went through, that, oh, they were judging, and that's why they're getting that karma. I hope that makes sense. I hope you're able to follow it without me giving specific examples. lately they've been giving me such personal examples that to such the extreme that I have found it even more challenging to verbalize some of these things in a general manner. And so I really am hoping that you're able to hear clearly. But same thing, always and forever. Same bottom line, forever and always. Fully love and accept yourself. And when you honor yourself and put yourself first in the most beautiful way, you then truly can offer that to everybody else. But sometimes it will appear as being very, very selfish, and you cannot care that others think that, or deem you that, judge you that, call you that, name you that, for all the reasons I just said. They'll deal with it when their judgment day comes, and hopefully they'll understand that. Because again, if you're coming from your highest and best, sometimes it requires, and you will be told and led to be selfish. And it's a lesson for you to drop the ego and worry that others are calling you selfish. Or are you going to put their name calling and their comfort above your heart and your lead? And so that's the key difference, because if you're being led in your ego and you're being obnoxious and arrogant, it's a very different feeling, understanding lens than being selfish from your heart. There are times it's going to appear similar on the exterior, but you have to know the difference. Irrelevant if anybody else does. That's the point. You can't worry about, your ego can't, be whispering, well. No. You really have to be strong enough to know that you're operating from your heart. And in doing so, there's always going to be people who are hurt and aren't going to understand, but that's not your worry or concern. You have to learn to fully love and honor yourself, your life, and get in full alignment so that you can be that beacon of light, right? That lighthouse, that abundance of love for others, the leader, it's like that idea of a leader, right? It's that idea of like leaders have to do really hard things. I mean, look at all the positions in the world of these, world leaders. Would you really want their job? I hear so many people criticizing so many others on so many, what they would do. Bullshit. You're not in their shoes. You don't have the first fucking clue as to what's really going on. We get such a blip. We get such a little nonsense. We think we know, and we think we know what we would do. Bullshit. Do you really want their job? I wouldn't want any of their jobs. And most of you who claim you do, or you know better or what to do, I really would love to see a lot of them in those positions. I really would. Some of them that scream the loudest, I would love to see them under that amount of serious stress and pressure and information, and so many people giving their opinion and having to weed through that. Imagine having to weed through that. Not only so many people voicing their opinions, and these are people who are the best of the best with the best strategies and everything else, shouting all their opinions at you, and then having to determine who even has your best interest, right? Because there's so many people that are always looking to snake you and take your position because they know better, because they want the power, they want the money, they want the prestige, they want the clout, they want whatever. I mean, it is literally sickening. I can't imagine having to be in those positions and live life that way. It definitely takes, they're giving me an awful feeling. What is this? It takes, like the idea of nerves of steel. Yeah. Okay. I feel myself going into babble mode. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.